Shrishta Manamapi Shachiputam Atra Surupam Arupam Tasya Grajamuri Purim Amaturim Gostvati Radha Kunda Magirivaram Aho Radhika Madhvasam Prabto Yasya Patita Kripaya Sri Guru Tam Natosmi Puravehi Gaurachandrai Radhikaye Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namah Anandalilamaya Vigrahaya Hema Bhadivyaschave Sundaraya Tasmai Mahaprema Rasapradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Bhaktya Veda Aparada Lakshe Yukascha Kamani Parangamani Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prabhana Vinde Namaste Charanara Vindam Vinde Namaste Charanara Vindam Govinda Namo Naramadavedi Govinda Namo Naramadavedi Govinda Namo Naramadavedi Govinda Namo Naramadavedi Hey Krishna, Hey Yadava, Hey Saketi Govinda Namo Naramadavedi Tavaivasmi, Tavaivasmi Najivami Taya Vina Divikyaya Devi Tam Namah Sarantikam. After I give pranam to my Guru Dev. First of all, after my sastang Dandavat Puspanji, my heart like flowers thousands of times at the lotus feet of my holy master, Asmadhiya Paramaradhatam Guru Pada Padma, Nitya Leela Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad, Ashtotara Sata Shishimad Rupanugacharivara, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami. Secondly, I offer my pranam thousands of times the lotus feet of my Shri Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Parampara, my Param Guru Dev Srila Prabhupada, and all of our Acharyas. And finally, I offer my pranam to all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, Vancha Kalpatam, Kripa Sindhu Vyavacha, Vaishnavas. So today we are discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, the first canto. Chapter 9, text 14. If you don't have a book, you can see it's there on the screen behind you.
Is it a little shorter? It's okay.
Yeah. So this verse has been spoken by Bhismadev, grandfather Bhishma. As you know, he is one of the 12 Mahajans. He is a very great personality. He is the son of Ganga Devi, the goddess of Ganges herself. His grandfather, therefore, is Janu Rishi, because Ganges has come from the thigh of Janu Rishi. And Janu Rishi, his ashram is in Janudvip, in Navadvip Dham. So Bhishmadev also, he went to study under his grandfather, Janu Rishi in Janudvip, Navadvip. And there he heard from him about the glories of Krishna and even the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, in Mahabharata, in the Vishnu Sahasranam, Vishnudev has prayed, Suvarna Varna Heman Go Virangas Chandanangadi Sanratsi Krits Shama Shanto Shantinishta Parayana. The Supreme Lord will appear in a golden complexion, decorated with the Chandan Tilak, and he will take sannyas, and he will be completely absorbed in chanting the holy names, remembering the pastimes of Krishna in Prem. So, what an extraordinary personality he is. Where is he speaking this? On the battlefield of Kurukshetra. As you know, during the battle, Bhishma, he was fighting with Arjun. But Shikandi came in front of Arjun, and then Bhishma, because he very strictly follows Dharma, he will not fight with a woman. Though Shikandi at that time had a male form, but he was born a woman. So Bhishma lowered his arrows, his bow and arrow, and then Arjun pierced him with so many arrows. But Bhishmadev did not die, because he has the mystic power of Swecha Mrityu, that he can give up his life at the time when he desires. So, out of humility, he was waiting for the sun, which was moving in the southern hemisphere, Dakshinayana, to move into the northern hemisphere, Uttarayana. So the battle went on, and the Pandavas won, and Yudhishthira Maharaj became king. But Yudhishthira Maharaj became depressed that so many people had been killed in this huge battle to facilitate his ascension to the throne of Hastinapur. So he was very sad about this. Actually, Yudhishthira Maharaj is a great Vaishnava, completely transcendental. He cannot be touched by any lamentation. But by the will of the Lord, he became in a state of bewilderment. Why? Krishna tried to pacify Yudhishthira Maharaj, but failed. Vyasadeva tried to pacify him. So many, and all failed. So then Krishna, he took Yudhishthira Maharaj and the other Pandavas, and they went out to the battlefield where the battle had taken place, where Bhishmadev was still lying, pierced by the arrows, waiting for the auspicious time to leave. So, Krishna has performed this pastime so that by bringing Yudhishthira Maharaj to hear about Dharma from the lips of Bhishmadev, the very beautiful words of Bhishmadev will take away the sorrow of Yudhishthira Maharaj, and a feat that could not be accomplished by Krishna or Narad or Vyas or anyone else. So Krishna has done this Leela just to glorify Bhishmadev. Because actually, first of all, Yudhishthira Maharaj cannot be affected by lamentation. And secondly, Krishna, Narad, Vyas and others, they are capable of removing any devotee's ignorance and illusion. So Krishna has just done this lila out of intense love for Bhismadev. It's a very emotional moment when they came there, because the 5 Pandavas, 5 brothers, they were raised by their mother Kunti, who was a widow. They had not the protection of a father. At that time, Bhismadev became their father, their grandfather, their everything. He played with them as children and raised them, and they grew up being nourished by his affection. So it was a very moving moment for them to come and spend their time in the company of Bhismadev just prior to his leaving this world. It seems that Bhismadev was waiting for the sun to go into the northern course. Why? In the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it says, those who leave their body when the sun is in the northern course, they can take the path being transported by so many Atibahika Devatas, which goes up to the sun planet and then attain liberation. But those who leave when the sun is in the southern course, they may go up to the moon, they may go to other planets, but they'll have to come back to this world. But a pure devotee like Bhishma, it doesn't matter when he leaves. But he was just setting the example for others out of his humility, and more than that, the deepest reason is because he was hoping that Krishna would be so merciful as to come and give him darshan in his last moments. So if Bhismadev has a desire and Krishna has a desire, even if Krishna's desire is the opposite, Bhismadev's desire will win. Because his love is so great, and Krishna is the Premadhin, controlled by the love of his devotees. So when Krishna came and all gathered around, many sages and saints came, like Vasishtha Rishi, Gautam Rishi, Atri Rishi, Narad, Shukadev Goswami, Bharadwaj Rishi. All these sages and saints came along with their disciples as well. And they gathered around Bhismadev. Bhismadev said, Na yasyaka ichit rajan pumam veda viditsitam yad vijijasaya yukta muyanti kavayopi. How are Krishna's pastimes going on? What is the plan, the intention of the Lord? No one can know. All the sages and rishis are there. They are very powerful. But they cannot know what will Krishna do next. What are his intentions? Bhishmadev said, only the inquiry, by inquiring into it, then one becomes bewildered. Is it that the Lord wants to give suffering to his devotee? Is it that the Lord wants to give happiness to his devotee? Or is it that the Lord wants to give a mixture of two? Srila Vishwanath Thakur said, we should consider these. First of all, the Lord cannot want to give suffering to his devotee, because he is very merciful. He cannot want to, you cannot conclude that he does this lila to give happiness to the devotee, because Yudhishthira Maharaj is thinking, oh, in our life we just had nothing but problems. And it cannot be a mixture of the two, because he is Bhakta Vatsala, he is very merciful. Why will he want to give them happiness and distress also? So the conclusion is that through the twists and turns of Krishna's unpredictable pastimes, he wants to do one thing: increase their prem. This. So very often that may happen by putting the devotee into a suffering condition. But we should never think that the suffering condition of a devotee is his prarabdha karma. No. It is arranged by Krishna to increase his prem. And Krishna can also increase the love of his devotees even without putting them in a suffering condition. So it's not fixed. Therefore no one can understand the intention of the Lord. They can understand his anubhavs, but not his intentions. That means that if Krishna is bound with a rope around his waist as a baby by Mother Yashoda for being very naughty and having a tantrum and smashing the yogurt pot in her kitchen, then he's being bound by his mother's anubhav. The Rasik Vaishnavas, by seeing the activities of the Lord, they see that everything he does is an anubhav. Anubhav means a reaction, a response to the stimulation of his sthayi-bhav, his foundational mood. So the devotees, they can see Krishna's sattvic bhavs, they can see his anubhavs, and by this they can understand what is the nature of his sthayi-bhav and what Ras is experiencing at that time. These things they can know. That Krishna was bound by Mother Yashoda is an anubhav. That Krishna is on the battlefield of Kurukshetra driving the chariot of Arjuna, and Arjuna is saying, go here, go there, and Krishna is very obediently following his commands. These are anubhavs, these are his responses. In other words, when he sees the love of Arjuna, his heart melts and he thinks, how can I serve you? And becomes a menial servant of his devotee. So, Bhismadev is saying, the devotees, they can relish rasa by witnessing the pastimes of Krishna, seeing his anubhavs, but no one can understand his intentions, why he's doing certain things. Except for one thing, we know the result will be the love of all devotees will increase. So, Bhismadev spoke very beautifully to Yudhishthira Maharaj and removed all his lamentation. Then Sutta Goswami describes in Srimad Bhagavatam that great personality Bhismadev, who had given discourse on thousands of different topics, who had fought on thousands of battlefields, and who had saved the lives of thousands of people, he became silent. And he withdrew his consciousness away from everything. And then with wide open eyes, he just stared at Sri Krishna. And he began to pray, oh, may I withdraw my consciousness from all things. Very often, his consciousness had been involved in dharma, karma, religious principles, in the politics and the intrigue of the palace of Hastinapur, and so on. But now, Bhismadev is saying, may I withdraw my consciousness from everything and just behold the beautiful form of Krishna. That very Krishna who, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he looked so marvelous, holding the reins in one hand, the reins of the chariot, and a whip for the horses in the other. His hair was covered in dust, raised by the heat of the battle, and his face was covered in drops of perspiration. His armor was pierced, even, by Bhismadev's own arrows. We cannot say that the arrows of Bhismadev have pierced the body of Krishna, but pierced his armor. Somewhere in Srimad Bhagavatam it's mentioned that Krishna on the battlefield, when he ran to fight with Bhishma, he was covered in blood. But this was not his blood. Because the floor of the battlefield was covered with dead warriors everywhere when he jumped down and was running. So blood came on him, not his own. So he said, I remember Krishna, he made a promise that he would not take up a weapon in the battle. And I made it a promise, I'll make him take up his weapon. So at that time, Bhishma began to shoot his arrows at Arjuna so powerfully that Krishna had no option but to defend him. And he jumped down from the chariot and took a broken wheel and ran at Bhismadev to kill him. And Bhismadev, then he dropped his arrows. He was ready to be killed by Krishna. He thought, oh, my life is successful. Krishna has broken his own promise just to fulfill mine. But just then it was the exact moment when the sun was setting. And then they blow the conch shell to signal end of the day's fighting. Everyone has to go back to their camp. They can come back and fight the next day. They have some rules in war among the warriors, the codes of chivalry. So Bhishmadev was remembering the various pastimes of Krishna. And he was looking at Krishna and thinking, now I am so fortunate that right before me is this very person who has danced with the Braj Gopis in Rasa Leela. Bhishmadev knows the purpose of offering prayers is to please Krishna. And Krishna is most pleased when his devotee is glorified. And if the highest devotees are glorified, then Krishna is pleased to the highest degree. Therefore, see Bhishmadev, he spoke this verse. Lalita gati vilasa falguhasa pranaya nirikshana kalpiturumana kritamanu kritabatya unmadanda prakriti magan kilayasya gopavadraha. So, this verse spoken by Bhishmadev was also once spoken by Narad in another context. There was a devotee named Gop Kumar, and by remembering his Gopal mantra, he gradually went through all the various planets of the universe, from Earth, Bhur, Bhuva, Swa, Mahalok, Janalok, Tapalok, Satyalok. From there he went to Vaikuntha and Ayodhya, and he reached up to Dwarka, and he was staying in Dwarka, in the spiritual world. But still, he was not happy. Why? Because it was his swarup, it was his nature to be a cowherd boy. And so he did not fit in the atmosphere of opulence, Aishwarya, in Dwarka. So though he was staying there, and it was full of joy and perfect, the spiritual world, but his heart was still feeling pain. At that time he saw Narad and Uddhav were coming. And Gopkumar, he fell down at the feet of Narad Muni, and holding his feet, he said, O Narad, O great Brahmin, please be merciful to me and give me advice. What can I do? Narad, he smiled and he looked at Uddhav. He said, what shall I tell him? He cannot be happy here because his nature is to be the nature of a gop, cowherd boy. And he aspires for that, for which even I am not qualified. Uddhav, even you are not qualified. Both of us are not qualified. What can we say to him? So Narad, he said, Uddhav, give him some instruction. Uddhav said, I am a Kshatriya, I am born in the Kshatriya family, and you are Brahmin. So I should not give instructions in your presence. Narad began to laugh. He said, what is this? Varnashram dharma is a system of behavior which is followed in the material world. So each person according to the gunas that they are in. The Shudras are influenced by ignorance, the Vaishyas by mixed ignorance and passion, the Kshatriyas by passion, and the Brahmins are in Sattva-gun. So the living entities have some duties to perform, some karma, some dharma, by which they can gradually be purified. So Narad, he said, "Oh Uddhava, how astonishing it is that even here in the spiritual world, but you still have this abhiman, that you are in the Varnashram Dharma system." Then Uddhava smiled. He said, "Why not? Even the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, being here in the spiritual world, he does not give up his abhiman of being a gop. So why should I give up my abhiman of being Kshatriya?" I met one very famous scholar and guru just last year. He was saying, these things, Varnashram Dharma, everything, that's in Krishna Lila here, but in the spiritual world it's not there. This is only when we think of Krishna, and when he comes to this world, his Lila is mixed up with some cultural aspects of this world. So here we see in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Sanatana Goswami saying, no, what is here, what we see, the remnant of Vedic culture here is a reflection of the eternal culture which is there in the human-like pastimes of Krishna in the spiritual world. So Uddhava said, I will not give up my Kshatriya abhiman. Krishna will not give up his Gop abhiman. So you should instruct him. So then Narad, he said to Gopkumar, what can I tell you about the glories of Vrindavan? Then he quoted this verse. He said, just see how wonderful is Krishna's Braja Leela. That Bhismadev, being dry, being absorbed in the dharma and karma, and being a Naistik brahmachari, yet he himself, how astonishing it is, and also being filled with arrows and about to leave this world. How astonishing it is, in his last moment, he has glorified the pastimes of Vrindavan. And then Narad, he sang this verse, Lalita Gati Vilasa Falguhasa, Pranaya Nirikshana Kalputurumana, Kritamanu Kritavatha Unmadanda, Prakritima Kilaya Gopavadvaha. And when he spoke this verse, he became so overwhelmed in ecstasy. He thought, I should not say anything more. This is so confidential. The inner meaning of this verse is so confidential, it should not even be spoken in Dwarka. But he could not help it, because ecstasy was forcing his tongue to speak the confidential meaning of Krishna's Vrindavan Leela. So then Narad, he bit his tongue. But when he bit his tongue to try to stop the ecstasy coming out from his mouth, then it went back inside and it made his body tremble. And he began to dance and jump up and down. And his hairs were standing on end, he was trembling and crying. Gopima was watching, what happened? What happened to Narad? Finally he calmed down. And then Uddhava and Narad advised him how he could go further from Dwarka to Golok. What did they tell? Uddhava said, Tatraiv utpadyate dhainyam sa prema tatshunyam ivaranyam srit giradya pasyatam tatraiv utpadyate dhainyam tat prema api sada satam tatshunyam ivaranyam sharit giradya pasyatam. Go to earth. He was already in Dwarka in the spiritual sky. He said, go to the planet Earth in the material world and go there to Vrindavan Dham. This is the best thing for you. Because there are the trees, the meadows, the hills, the rivers, Giraj, Govardhan, Jamuna, the forest of Vrindavan. And when the devotees go there and see all these places, but Krishna is not there, they become overwhelmed with humility. And they weep loudly. Alas, alas. Hey Radhe Brajate Vike Chalalite, Hey Nanda Suno Kuta, Shri Govardhana Kalpapara Patale Kalindi Banye Kuta, Goshanta Viti Sarvato Brajapure, Kedana Mahavivalo, Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghujigo, Shri Jiva Gopalako. Srila Sanatana Goswami is writing this weird Bhagavatamrita. He knows the power of Boma Vrindavan to awaken Prem. The devotees wander around here and there. Hey Radhe Brajadevike, Hey Nanda Suno, oh son of Nanda Maharaj, oh Radhika, oh Lalita, where are you? And they look, sometimes in the caves of Govardhan, sometimes in the kunjas of Jamuna, all over Brajmandal. They're wandering here and there, overwhelmed with extreme anxiety and great regret. And as their humility increases, their prem increases. As their prem increases, their humility increases. And they attain perfection in this way. So, even Gopkumar being in the spiritual world beyond Vaikuntha in Dwarka, the best thing for him to do was to go to Braj. So what to speak of us? How fortunate we are that we can go to Brajamanda, do parikrama there. It is astonishing. If you have the chance, you must go. You touch the dust of Brajamanda. Very powerful. So here, he said, Lalita Kativilasa Valguvasa. You have the word for word. Lalita means attractive or graceful. It's adjective. What is attractive? What is graceful? Krishna's gati. The way he walks, the way he moves, especially the way he dances. Vilas. Vilas means his pastimes of enjoyment, how he's laughing, joking, and performing all types of the amorous pastimes with Braja Gopis. Valguhasa, his sweet smile. Pranaya Nirikshana, and his Nirikshana, his glances, which are full of pranay. That is the intimacy, feelings of oneness with Braja Gopis. Kalpituru Mana, he is highly glorified. It's a general meaning. Kritamanu Kritavatya, copying Krishna's movements, Unmadanda, who would become Anda, means blind, in Unmad, in the intoxication.